Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to TFR eSports here. We are here for the round 10 of the season here in F1, heading to Singapore Marina Bay, a circuit that's been around since 2008, but its current iteration has been around for significantly less time. The removal of the chicane pretty shortly after the Singapore Sling was brought in 2023. Now, the F2 race had quite a bit of drama, as we saw. Quite a few collisions, some punctures even, varying weather, and I think we're going to have similar experiences here today, but we'll just have to see how this one all plays out. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and alongside me, we have the one, the only, GV. How are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, good day, mate. Today is pretty nice day for racing, I believe. Singapore is a track which built for like street circuits, but I feel like in F1 esports it still delivers like quite nice wheel-to-wheel battles, as we can see drivers are now into the qualify and trying to make their first lap of today. Maybe the banker, or maybe as we expecting rain today, later today in qualifying, it may be the only flying lap.
Indeed, yeah, because, I mean, the thing about Singapore is, and this is just something I've noticed, is that as a real life racing circuit, granted there is a ton of humidity, it is often known as one of the most physical races in the real life F1 calendar. But here in esports in general, anytime I've seen this race, or anytime I've seen this track raced as an esports race, it usually delivers quite nicely. It's one of those tracks that feels like it just is better for sim racing than it is IRL, but we can see a flurry of activity, a lot of cars coming out of the pits, getting ready to go here. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to this one because, once again, Singapore's it's a track I'm really not a fan of IRL, but as an esports race, it's honestly quite fun. So, really looking forward to see how this race plays out.
Yeah, as we see drivers going out on their out lap, we got Williams, we got CJ in the Alpine, Salmon in the Sauber, Epic in the Ferrari. Basically, everyone is out for their first push lap and doing up their warm up session.
And there's a lot of places too where a tow could really help you out here on this circuit, especially with the removal of the chicane in Sector 3. I mean, now that pretty much from turn 14 to turn 16 is pretty much flat out with an additional DRS zone as well, it can make racing really, really intense, but it can also give you a really good chance to get a good tow from your teammate to go ahead and jump into that pole position because, like I said earlier, the tow here can be pretty strong. Taking a look at the constructor standings here, although unfortunately we don't have the updated ones from the last race in San Marino when we went to Imola, but before then, Imedy is still championship leader with 199 points, with Red Bull leading the constructors with 288. So there's only about 3 rounds left to go. We go from here to Japan to Brazil. So, three very different tracks. Suzuka is a narrow circuit, very twisty, very tight. And then you also have Brazil, which is pretty much the exact opposite. It's wide, it's fast, and you have a lot of good overtakes over there. So, looking forward to see how the rest of this counter does play out. But, I mean, before we get to either of those two tracks, we have to get through Singapore first.
As we can see, I believe everyone is on their push lap. Um, let's get some UI out.
Yeah, for the most part, pretty much everybody is out right now. I think Gagley's the only one who is not out on a flying lap at the moment. He's still on his out lap, but that just changed. So we'll see a bit of a snap there from one of the kick salvers. Kevin Cow is going to get it setting purple sectors, but he is the first one to go through these sectors, so no surprise there. And if we don't get rain, I am expecting that we're going to see the fastest lap times around the final 2.5 to 3 minutes, give or take, as we see there is a Ferrari having a bit of a moment. I think that was just getting out of the way, but we'll check on that after we see the first lap. Kevin Cow does get provisional pole position on the first flying lap, but MSA Samad is going to go ahead and jump ahead by almost a full second in that kick Sours. Phantom Fox jumping in around the middle, as we did have Finley leave the session, which is very unfortunate now. On board with Seb as he's going to go in and make his way through. Seb does top the timetable right now with a 128.187, so that is a very good lap time here there from the Williams. Some pretty strong banker laps here to kick things off in qualifying.
Yeah, also very noticeable, we can see championship leader IMD is not in the front row right now, because we can expecting rain today. It may be a challenge for him, like to go to the front row.
We also have to remember, although granted, this was a different game with a much different tire model than what we have this game with F125. But D is a driver that I have seen. Oh, a bit of a spin out there for the Haas, right through
Yeah,
turn 3. Unfortunate there for the Haas,
yeah,
as there is a Racing Bull just right behind. I believe, yep, that is Gagley going on through.
exactly.
But jumping back and talking about D, this is a driver who I saw take a no-stop race around China with intermediates. He went like 30-some laps on a set of intermediates and won the race. He even had to fight quite a bit in that race too. So I mean, once again, tire management, tire wear in general in this game is way tougher than it was in F124, especially if you are using a controller. But yeah, I mean, still, we know that D can do some tire management, but we'll have to see how it goes here. That's a massive snap there from the end of Epic the Animal. Epic save there as it puts himself into P10.
And
Few
he
more cars
has
left to set a
quite
lap
fast
time.
time again in the second sector.
Oh, we have a retiree of OWise.
I
OWise having
bel-
a retirement now, so that is one car lost.
I
I
believe the rain is coming. The rain is coming. We can see drops of rain on the camera now.
I haven't seen that. Never mind. Speak of the devil. I was just saying I didn't see the rain, and sure enough, now I do see the rain. So, yeah, that's pretty much just going to wrap up. That's basically just going to wrap up qualifying. You may see a few drivers still try to get some kind of laps in, but I mean, we see the Mercedes of Willu just sliding all over the place. That Mercedes looking more like a Formula Drift car compared to a Formula One car around the streets of Singapore. I mean, this track, it's already kind of tricky to get grip on the circuit anyway, and then you throw rain on top of it. Just makes it just unbearable sometimes to really get grip here. Yeah, so we're seeing quite a few drivers just going ahead and retiring from the session. And that
The
is pretty much going to wrap up qualifying pretty early. So for the next several minutes, as there is a Ferrari off, um, it'll pretty much just be the TFR F1 eSports podcast for until the rest of qualifying wraps up.
Yeah.
I do see an end plate there. I know there
P29
is a
just
slow
again.
Ferrari. Maybe that's where the end plate came from. But I want to ask you, because you actually did this race earlier in F2. You got pole position, and then unfortunately you got hit with the EA server gremlins, and then you managed to pull back a P15, or sorry, a P8. Um, how does this track feel in the wet, coming from your perspective?
Driving the wet, I think it's like more of a because I'm using a wheel, so I don't know from the controller side. I feel like you may need to like you can flick it a little bit than the other tracks because you tend to go ultra low on the front anti-roll bar, so you can like flip the car pretty hard, and you can use that to use the understeer to wash the entry speed, and you can get a pretty solid exit. You get the shot shift up, and and it should work. Yeah.
Indeed, because I mean, you really gotta. Because I mean, some people like when you're driving even a regular road car, just going to and from work or to and from school, college, any kind of road trip, regardless. You have to change your strategy and just your driving style, even if a little bit, even in a regular road car going about maybe 40 to 50 miles an hour, 6 or so kilometers roughly. But and then you take it into a Formula One car that you're pushing about at least 150 a good chunk of the race. So you really have to adjust your strategy when it comes to driving because there's less grip and also you have more finicky tires when it comes to just the intermediates and the wets because if it gets a touch too dry for either set of tires, they really start falling apart. Like we did see in the F2 race earlier, tires really just don't go so super well here sometimes. I mean, we saw one of the Ferraris in F2 with a double left side puncture, which is honestly something I've never seen before, but it did happen. Which, I mean, there's a lot of things that could cause that to happen. You could have slammed into quite a few walls. You could have ran over some debris. It was because it wasn't an intermediate tire. It was a hard tire that I think was a double puncture. But still, I mean, punctures can happen and they can really ruin your race.
Yeah, as we run stimulation damage in the league, I think he maybe touched the wall in Singapore, which is, to be honest, quite common in a street circuit this narrow, but obviously pretty unfortunate for him to have the double puncture because that was, I believe, in Sector 1 or Sector 2, and he had to DNF afterwards. So, yeah, so everyone maybe should look out for the barriers a little bit more than the Euro tracks.
Yeah, because Singapore is a very tight track, very narrow. It's a very tough one, both in the real world and in esports. Now, granted, the esports drivers here do not have to deal with the absurd humidity that the drivers feel. I mean, coming from a native Floridian, I am well aware of what humidity is like, and apparently Singapore humidity is even worse than Floridian humidity. So, I mean, at least the drivers don't have to deal with that here today, but they still have to deal with the narrow walls and the walls that really just take no prisoners. They could not care less about your feelings. If you make a mistake, you're certainly going to feel it. An interesting thing to note is that VNT is actually currently on an outlap trying to get some running in on those intermediate tires. Now, would you say this is a good strategy considering that he doesn't have a time on the board? Because he'll at least jump Mo Solver, who doesn't have a time either. He might jump John Claude as well in P13, who is currently 9 seconds off the pace. But I mean, what are your thoughts on VNT just running those intermediates when just during the session?
I feel like it's actually a pretty good strategy, even though it's wet now and it will be dry at the start. But at least you got the first go hang of of the track. You can feel a little bit more, you know, where the grip is, where isn't the grip, where the tarmac is a little bit tilted. You get your hands into the rhythm a little bit better. So actually, pretty nice strategy, I would say, for him to do a chunk of laps on a wet track right now.
And you pretty much have quite a few intermediate tires to play with as well. And that's a
Oh,
bit of a wall tap there for the Mercedes,
and
and is
that's
just
it.
going all
And
sideways, just like the actual car of VNT, just trying to get turned around. Um, really
and he
just
gets
not having a great time here. I mean, like we said earlier, it's a tricky track, and then it gets wet, and it's just tricky to drive, especially if you're just snapping consistently. If you have rear wing damage, then I mean, rear wing damage in F1 is pretty much a death sentence anyway. You're pretty much gonna shortly retire after that. But well, here's the weird thing, and I know this is definitely a glitch that happens, but it was registering for us that it was a purple sector 2 for the Mercedes. Now I know compared to real life Formula One, that's basically a purple sector would pretty much just mean a personal best, but still pretty funny nevertheless. And that thing really is snapping all over the place. There's no way he's gonna actually try to get another lap in, is he? Yeah, no, he's gonna come into the pits. That's definitely the smart thing to do. He'll have enough time to chuck on another set of tires and go again, but if he's got rear wing damage, then that's pretty much his session done and dusted.
Yeah, rear wing damage is very, very, very hard on this game, I believe. If you got one of these, like you said, a DNF would be the better option.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, you're just gonna suffer consistently because it basically is the final nail in the coffin. If you're already having a bad race and then you smack the wall and then your rear wing is damaged, because unlike the front wing is a very simple mechanism. You can pretty much just grab an old one, throw it away, and just basically screw a new one on. The rear wing is not like that. You can't just take a rear wing off and put a new one in it because I mean, well, in F1 it's just not a thing. But in the real world, I mean, there's so many things that are connected to it. Lots of electrical components connected to it. You have the DRS system you really got to think about, hydraulics. There's a lot of things that go into that rear wing that it's not just as simple as, bolt one off and bolt one on.
Yeah. Right now, we still got two people left in the session, which is CJ in the Alpine and the F1 LL in the Aston Martin, who has not set a time.
I think Finley actually had a disconnect earlier on, so I think that might be the case why he hasn't set a lap yet. Or, well, he hasn't retired yet because of the fact that the AI does stand for artificial intelligence, but when it comes to F1, they kind of miss out on that intelligence part a bit. So, I
It's more
mean,
of a
I know you
it,
can speak from
yeah,
experience.
yeah, it's more of a the other word starting with an I.
Artificial idiocracy, pretty much. But regardless, there's about 2.5 minutes left in this qualifying session, and I mean, we're not really expecting anybody to run again. So Seb does take pole position here, followed by Mint, B29, championship leader Imadi, Mustafa, Gagly, Samad, Kevin Cow, Phantom Fox, Epic the Animal, CJ, O-Wise, Jean-Claude, Mo Solver, VNT, and Finley rounding out our 16 drivers here on the grid today. Any predictions going into this Grand Prix? Because it's supposed to be a dry start for the Grand Prix, so some drivers just have better pace in the wet than they do in the dry. So pretty much, I think it just blows the race wide open, honestly.
Yeah, also as we can see from this year's TFR F1 division, the racing itself is pretty hard. Everyone is going inch by inch on the wheel-to-wheel stuff itself, so we can pretty much expect some hard racing today. So also for some fast drivers like Epic, it will be quite hard for him to move out from the back.
Indeed. So once again, this is our qualifying grid, and oh, we actually did get updated driver standings. So there we go. So we can talk about those for a little bit. Amadi is still in the championship lead, and I mean, I think effectively he does have this championship just about bagged up. Red Bull still in the lead of the constructors, and they can just about clinch it either tonight or the next race out in Japan. So, but even though the top steps of these championships are pretty much almost just about fully wrapped up, but for the most part, there's still a lot to play for here. I mean,
Yeah.
there's still like you said, these drivers are gonna drive pretty much to the brink of their abilities. They're gonna fight tooth and nail for pretty much any point they can get, because there's only 3 rounds left in the season here at TFR Esports.
Yeah, yeah. As we can see, drivers lining up on the grids, ready to change their strategy. If there are few options, maybe a little tweak on the setup for the race. And they, uh, today for IMD and the Epic, Epic have to outscore him by 8 points. Otherwise, he will IMD will be crowned as the four-time TFR F1 division champion.
Indeed. So, yeah, actually, If he does avoid dropping those 8 points, then we could see a champion crown here tonight. But anyways, before we get there, we're going to have to go racing. And it's lights out and away we go here. TFR eSports Season 24 Round 10 is a go. And positions are changing all through the field. As we do have yellow in the back, it is Ultimate Stan just not getting off the line. His car's just stationary. We'll talk about that later if he can hopefully get going. He did get disqualified, so he'll be dropped from the session. But right now, it is still a tough battle. Mustafa jumping D at the start. There is a yellow in Sector 1, but that will be very quickly cleared up. As we go ahead, Mint is going to try to go ahead and try to get a pass here. Thinking about the switchback. Inside becomes the outside. He's going to push tooth and nail, trying to get these positions in the early stage of the race. And that's the race leader, Seb, getting
Oh, Seb
spun
has been
around.
spun. That surely will be a harsh penalty for me right there for that tap. As we can see, Seb trying to get back on his feet, trying to regain the momentum. But that was a big crash for the pole positional man.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate. I mean, like you said earlier, this is a tough track. It's narrow. It's pretty much just the walls will pretty much send you to the Shadow Realm. But also, sometimes it's just other drivers that will send you to the Shadow Realm. So, Mid Kestrel in the lead of the Grand Prix so far. But I think there's like you said, there's probably a very big penalty coming his way as we get ready to start lap number 2 out of 31 here. Mid Kestrel does get the fastest lap so far. And now
Kevin
DRS
Cowell
is
got a
activated.
penalty or multiple warnings. So track limits does do their effects right now.
Indeed, Kevin Cow does get. Oh, and Seb, the pole man, has retired from the race, so that is our second retiree of the Grand Prix, and that is not the way that Seb would have wanted this race to go. He immediately got spun around, and I think he must have got rear wing damage because I think he could have gotten a new front wing and been out otherwise.
Yeah, I think he will be absolutely furious about what Mings did to him on the opening lap. And yeah, there will be conversations after the race, surely.
Yeah, there will be 100%. So, yeah, I think even if Mid Kestrel does come across the line in P1, I think post-race penalties are definitely going to go ahead and drop him down quite a few spots. B29, though, in the Aston Martin is continuously putting pressure on him. And here's the thing that I think some drivers do tend to forget sometimes. As the late great Ayrton Senna once said, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, then you're no longer a racing driver. But I think sometimes the drivers forget that a good driver has to identify what is actually a gap. And I think that's just kind of where Mint Kestrel kind of messed up. He thought he saw a gap, and he went for the gap, but there really just wasn't enough room there to actually make this move, as B29 takes the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far.
Yeah, absolutely agree on what you just said. You have to, otherwise pull out Max Verstappen-ish dive bomb down the inside, make the outsider realize your presence. Otherwise, you just don't pull a move. You will just hurt yourself, hurt the other driver. It's better just to stay off otherwise.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, we even saw this in real life too. 2 weeks ago at Zandvoort, Kimi Antonelli went for a line that really didn't exist and took a Ferrari out and got slammed with a 10-second time penalty for just causing a collision. So
Ferrari got some wheel tangling there. They are still side by side here through the chicane. Roundhouse down inside goes to Ferrari, and Jean-Claude goes to Peter Singh. And the runner of the championship got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, which is track limits, I believe.
Yep. And that right there is pretty much Epic's championship coming to a not so epic conclusion. It's tough. There's a lot of pressure on you, both literally and theoretically, as the Alpine gets past Mo and is trying to put pressure now onto Epic. This is funny enough, the duo that was in the commentary booth earlier on, Funny F2 race, is now locking wheels in the Formula One race just a few minutes later. So, as poetic as it is, Mo Salver does get back ahead of CJ there. The Ferrari having a bit of a better straight line speed in this instance, but the commentary duo that works so well together are now fighting together, or fighting against each other here in the F1 race. As we are on lap 4, there's a Mercedes. I mean, for someone who didn't really get to set a good qualifying time, VNT is doing pretty solid here as we continue to go on. We are on lap 4 out of 31 here in the Singapore Grand Prix, round 10 out of 12 in the championship. And I mean, once again, there's still a good amount of racing left to go here, but I mean, if you're Epic, then you will have seen that penalty and kind of just realized that your championship run, it was already a tough mountain to climb to go ahead and stop D from getting back-to-back championships, because he was champion last season as well. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely not the way you wanted your championship to go out.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate for Epic, but if I'm him right now, I'll be putting on some more or less, you can call it desperate moves. As we can see, there's not wheel to wheel here between the Mercedes and the Toro Rosso, or V-Carb, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, we have something in the back here, something in the back. It is the other
Adam
Williams
Fox.
of O-Wise having a bit of a moment, and Williams not having a great night here tonight. Got pole position, got taken out lap 1, and now the other Williams of O-Wise is just in the back having moments, although I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bit of contact between himself and Finley. Once again, I don't know. We could probably check the race director for that, but overall, still not a great night for Williams. It started off with some potential with Seb getting that pole position, but not right now. It's not currently a good night for them, as the two Ferraris did swap positions, but we are still on board with this battle for P1. It's the two Haas's pretty much putting B29 in a Haas sandwich right now. But championship leader Amadi is pretty much right on the back of him. So if one of them makes a mistake, then D is likely going to be the direct beneficiary from that incident.
Actually, we haven't mentioned that V-Carb in the hard tie, Gangley, who is doing a very, very solid job. He is not really far off the pace of the first pack. He is only 2.2 seconds off, and create a little own DRS for him and Salmon. So keep an eye out on for him later on in the race for these hard tires, because he can do a hard mediums maybe and do a typical Yano Otmir reverse strategy and pull this off. And as he has a little bit of oversteer.
I mean, yeah, because that's pretty much the trade-off you get with these hard tires, right? Is that when it comes to hard and the mediums, the hard tires will give you better tire life, but you'll be slow compared to the mediums at the get-go. But pretty much later on down the line, you will be quicker than the mediums. In this case, the mediums will be quicker at the start, but they will fall off earlier than the hard tires. There is a bit of a crossover point where they're pretty much just about even on pace. But that crossover, pretty much at that point, if you're on the medium tires and you've reached that crossover, you're going to really start thinking about the pit stop sooner rather than later, because it's only just going to go downhill from there.
He got collided with Jean-Claude again. Actually, they got wheel tangling again down back in P9, but Epic does go through with Kevin behind Jean-Claude and the Mosolva behind the V-Cup as he moves down the inside, pushed V-Cup into the wall, and he spun. He spun out.
Mo Salver getting turned around there like a Beyblade. Unfortunate for the Ferrari.
Yeah, so the original tangling pack has been spread out a little bit. Only CJ and Kevin Cow within each other's DRS range, with F1 LL right behind in his Aston Martin, as he got a big moment right there.
Yeah, we just barely missed it, but I will say that it's not surprising, because Singapore is a track that is going to challenge you. It is arguably one of the toughest tracks on the calendar here at TFR eSports this season. So I mean, I'm not surprised. There's gonna be a few drivers that struggle on the track. I mean, granted, I'm not a fast driver by any stretch of the imagination, but Singapore is a track that I struggle at as well. So I mean, it is a tough track. But now we're gonna see with DRS, CJ is gonna go ahead and jump past the Racing Bull of Kevin Cow, and that is P11 for the Alpine. We'll see if he can continue the progress. Speaking of progress, we're gonna go ahead and see just how far everybody's moved up or down. So right now, the biggest mover is VNT, because VNT has moved up 8 positions now, as he is just trying to pull away from the Alpine, but he's got a pretty much an ocean between himself and Mod in 6 at the moment. So the driver who has fell down the most, aside from Seb, because I mean we know what happened to Seb, is actually Kevin Cow. He's down 4 positions compared to where he was at the start. But now we do have a battle or positions change for P2. It's a Haas 1-2 at the moment, as B29 just his pace really just started kind of falling off there part way through, because there was at one point where he was about 1.2 seconds away from Kestrel, putting him out of that very crucial DRS range. And if you're pretty much in this state, if you fall out of DRS range, then you're pretty much going to be in a really rough spot unless a safety car comes on through. CJ and Jean-Claude are coming into the pits, likely to fix up damage. CJ jumps onto the hard tire. Jean-Claude, I think, also has opted for the hard tire as well. We'll see when he comes out. Yes, he did. So both the cars that just exited the pits are on the hard tire now. So interesting. It's quite an early stop. I'm just gonna have to assume it was for damage, because otherwise I just don't see why you'd pit so early in this race here. Because I mean the hards are gonna be screaming by the time you reach lap 31 if you stay on the same set of tires.
From my own experience, got hard tires from lap 8 to lap 31 is pretty much impossible, to be honest. And also we can see Jean-Claude did not fix his front wing actually. He still got his right front end plate missing on his Sauber, so that's the thing to look out for. I think CJ rather just fix his front wing and go for the hards again, and maybe looking for some fresh air so he could have another go.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, if you're fixing damage, then there really isn't too much you could really do. I mean, you could, in theory, really push your tires till about maybe like the mid 20s, and then chuck on a set of softs for the rest of it. But even then, I mean, it's pretty much just a there's a balance to things, right? Because there's gonna be a point where you're just going to lose more time on track than you would have if you just would have made the pit stop earlier. So it's pretty much just, it's a trade-off. You really got to pick your poison if that is the approach you're going with. But, I mean, we'll see. Still got a amount of racing left to go here in the 10th round of the season. The two Haas cars are starting to work together to pull away from B29, but now B29 is going to soon find himself under pressure, and the Red Bull gets really close to the back of the Aston Martin. The car that D won the championship last year is now the car that is directly in front of him. He fought with a Red Bull last season for the championship in an Aston Martin, and now he's in a Red Bull about to win a championship at this stage. He has to make sure that Epic doesn't outscore him by 8 points or more for him to win this championship. But at this stage of the race right now, I mean, he's not going to outscore him at all, and D is going to become champion with 2 rounds to spare.
Yeah, as we can see now, B29 falling quite far away actually from the. Oh, we gotta spin it. We got a Mercedes of VNT actually spun out on the straight. Don't know what happened there, but very unfortunate for the Mercedes driver here this afternoon in Singapore. And the Kevin Cow is right on his tails with his medium tires, and we got Mustafa actually overtaking Kevin Cow during this pack. Uh, those two of us, they are wide open, hunting down for the next race. And maybe have a look. No, I think that is it. But I think the rear tires of VNT are still warm, so maybe Masova will look for it like one another corners. Yeah.
He might also try to get the move done just on the, not this upcoming DRS zone after turn 13. It's going to be the one pretty much from turn 14 onwards. Because that is a pretty good straight line to really try to get a move done as they make their way through the Singapore sling now. Most of it is going to have DRS, but it's not going to be enough. Because actually it looks like VNT got a much better exit through the hairpin of turn 13 than the Ferrari did. He's going to continue to put on pressure, but once again, just not enough real estate to get that move done. He's got a good shot here, though. He's going to close in to the back of the Mercedes, but he's going to have to go onto the brakes. Not going to get it this time. He's going to have to try it again, pretty much right into the first DRS zone on tracks just shortly after turn 5.
Yeah, also I think the first crossover point for medians and hards are already at this point. As we can see, D is very close on the rear wing of B20.
Ooh, the two
Around
teammates.
the outside. Two teammates also tangling each other right there from in the first just into the second sector. And IMD is in front of B29, but he is already 3 seconds down on the next pass. So pretty a lot of work to do still for IMD if he wants to win the race today. But for the championship, I think he already got his hand on the bag.
He's pretty much just got two hands on the trophy right now as it is. I mean, pretty much he just has to finish this race. And even if he doesn't finish the race, I mean, because there is a chance that if, let's say, if Epic finishes and outscores him by only 7 points, as there's a Aston Martin off, it is Finley going deep into the corner. He went deep into turn 9 there. And he is slowing way, way down. So might have some damage on that car. I don't. Well, he's missing an end plate. I can see that. The left end plate is just gone off the front wing. But maybe rear wing damage as well. Not too sure about that. Well, we did see that Mo Solver did actually get past the VNT just up the road ahead. But now the two teammates, the two Haas teammates, once again, are still staying pretty close to each other, all things considered. But they are really working together to try to pull away from D. We know D is quick. I mean, he's in this position in the championship with 2 rounds to spare. But, I mean, if you're not in the DRS train with your teammate and the 2 cars ahead of you are, then you are pretty much, you're not going to be really making a lot of ground no matter how fast you are.
Yeah. What I'm pretty shocked is what happened at the back. When CJ came out of pits, he was only 5 seconds behind. Jean-Claude is already 12 seconds now, so wonder what
Ooh.
happened to CJ as he got a 3-second time penalty.
He is going to be the next inductee of the penalty club here at Singapore. And we have a
Ooh,
Williams off. That is O-Wise going a bit deep once again through the memorial corner of turn 7. I mean, we've seen a little bit of that here tonight with a few cars going deep into some of these corners. But, I mean, you pretty much, these are really some tricky break-in zones, as you can definitely attest to.
yeah, but really surprised that everyone just goes deep rather than spun out. I feel like Singapore is more of a rear limited track rather than front limited, so pretty interesting to see that.
Also, interestingly enough, our race leader has come into the pits. His teammate is going to go ahead and jump on in. So Mustafa is going to go ahead and switch to the hard tires on lap 13. He's going to try to get these to the end. Gagley is within DRS range, though, of D here. So we'll see how this pans out. Actually, it was not the race leader. It was the race leader's teammate who jumped on into the pits. Maybe, I'm not sure, because, I mean, I guess because maybe Haas knows that Kestrel is definitely going to be under investigation for the lap 1 incident. But, I mean, if I was like a Haas TP or like the Haas team leader, I would have told Kestrel just to kind of pit in first. Just because typically if you're trying to work together as a team, you would want your especially if you're like in a 1-2 position like the Haas team was. I would have told Kestrel to pit first, and then that way you could have Mustafa kind of just back everybody up, and then pretty much give you the best chance of getting or just minimizing how many positions you're going to lose on track, or potentially even just coming out in clear air instead of being bunched up in traffic.
Yeah, also, as we can see, actually, they got a pretty nice window to pit in right now. So, the Haas just pitted who has a 12-second gap to the next car, which is the Sauber of the MSA Salmon, who who is doing who is actually pitting now. So, which means the Haas will get a clean run in the latter stage of the race. As we can see, Minx hasn't hit it yet as DMB29 goes out of the pits. They go and they play their swap. And Gangly still hanging on his hard compound size, whose lap times are actually not so bad. He's only 4 seconds off the race leader currently. So there's an eye to look out for him as he have a little bit of a stare.
He's probably going to run these until I would say maybe the early to mid 20s in terms of laps. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, cause like you said, Gagley is on the more durable tire at the moment, so he's going to have more grip than anybody on the mediums at this stage of the race. I mean, Kestrel's mediums are probably already approaching that cliff that we like to talk about, just when tires just tend to fall off of a cliff in terms of performance. There's usually a specific lap. It varies each circuit, but there is a point where the tire wear just tanks and you just lose so much grip and so much pace. And well, we're gonna see Kestrel come into the pits before we saw that. But yeah, because I mean, at that point, it's just diminishing returns for just staying out really late on a set of tires like this. But I don't think he's gonna lose too much here. I think he'll pretty much just come back out in the net race lead.
Yeah, I think he is basically in the net race lead also because right now Jean-Claude is still out there with his hard side trying to hang on. He, he got pitted like 7 laps earlier than everyone, which got the big undercut. We got a
Oh,
car retired, which is the Aston Martin of FYNL.
yeah, that is Finley going ahead and retiring here from the Grand Prix. Um, that's a retirement on track, although I don't know. Although we didn't see it, there's a chance that it could have been a crash. But I think if it was a crash, I feel like we would have had a safety car. But um, that's not the case here. So that might have been a retirement on track. We'd have to look at the post-race replay to see if that was the case or not. But yeah, there could have been. That could be a post-race penalty coming the way of Finley here. But I mean, if it's a crash, then he'll be fine. But if he was okay, then just ended up retiring on track, then he might just get a penalty from that. Honestly, I know it's in the rules, but once again, that's gonna be up to the stewards. That is not gonna be up to me. I have a lot of respect for the people who do stewarding, but in my opinion, it's probably one of the most unenviable jobs that you could have in any kind of form of racing, whether it's esports or real life.
Now, we don't really have a lot of action on track except IMD is closing on Jean-Claude, who is on a 3 second time penalty actually, and with a 6 lap older tires. As we can see, IMD really goes on his gearbox right there and trying to make himself a good launch out of the slipstream here into the straight and get the DRS and jump the kickstart in front of him. And
Oh,
there's
contact!
contact around the
Contact for
outside of the
contact!
side.
Ooh, I,
I actually
I mean,
I did not expect IMZ to go around the outside there. I expect him to lunge it.
I'm surprised Jean-Claude really fought it because, I mean, at this point, Jean-Claude's race is really not with D because D is, he's on a different strategy. So, I mean, I guess credit to Jean-Claude for going in and getting his elbows out, but, I mean, that almost kept Epic in this championship fight. Now he's going to swing around the outside of the Sauber. But look at this, the Sauber's going to keep trying to hold on to the inside. And, oh, they get so close to
He can't
contact
do
yet
anything.
again. I mean, that really almost just put, I mean, because even if he doesn't clinch this round, it's still very likely for D to get this championship in the next round in Japan, but that almost was bad enough to keep, I mean, that could have ended the race for D, and he would have had to wait at least another week before that championship, because Epic is in a spot that where he could score enough points to keep this alive if, and that's the big if here, if Epic D, or if D DNFs here, which almost happened.
Yeah, these two really have heart racing there. As we can see, B29 also overtake Jean-Claude there, which he actually didn't make a hard time for him.
Yeah, B29 could, I mean, because B29 is on a very similar strategy to D, so this would be a bit of a more race for position compared to Jean-Claude versus Imadi. Um, yeah, that almost just spelled doom for D's race here, but thankfully that didn't happen, because I would like to see no more DNFs would be ideal. I mean, 0 DNFs is always the ideal. You always do want to see every driver come across the line, see that checkered flag, get some good points on the board, but we have already lost 3 drivers here. We've lost Finley, Seb, and then Ultimate Stand, who really didn't even get off the line. His car was just kind of stuck in position, which, I mean, that ended this race very early on as we're over halfway through the Grand Prix.
We got the let's see what battle we got now. We got Phantom Fox actually in Gangley's DRS, who is on new mediums. I didn't expect him to pit this early. As we can see, most of the drivers they only last for 10 laps max on these mediums, and he had to do at least 14 laps on these medium, which is pretty a risk, but he is only he's still charging it as Fountain Fox barely stays in his DRS zones.
Yeah, so we'll see how this plays out. It's interesting though too because I mean a lot of these drivers are definitely going to go to switch to the medium tire at some point if they haven't already run both sets of tires. But seeing Gagley on track right now as the only driver on the mediums is going to be an interesting dynamic. One of the championship protagonists who needs to have a good race here today to keep his championship alive. He needs to really be outperforming D, but I mean that 3-second penalty at the get-go and D's pace here tonight just really just makes that seem less and less likely. As
Yeah,
Gagley is now within 0.3 of a second onto the back of Epic the
going
Animal. He's
to
gonna
the
try to
sounding
fire it
side.
deep under the overpass. And he gets that move done and dusted. Nicely done using all the grip on that medium tire.
I
And
guess
takes that
the
slip to boot.
actually work as he set the faster laps of the race, 31.7. Epic is gonna try just hold into Gangley's DRS, hope he doesn't fall in the way, and as he got 3 second time penalty, which is will put him behind Phantom Fox actually. So keep an eye to look out for him. As we can see, down the back, VNT is very close to the gearbox. CJ is actually a little bit too close. He is absolutely on his tail and trying to gain the momentum out of turn 4 here. DRS zones, DRS wide open. He actually did not open his DRS, trying to make this stick, and he does. Down the inside goes to P11, overtaking CJ in the Alpine.
That was a very good move, very good use of the DRS there. From VNT, the driver who started pretty much on the back of the grid because he just wasn't able to set a qualifying time. He didn't get it hooked up when it was dry. Tried it again on a set of intermediates and just couldn't get it hooked up there either. But he is up into P11 here as we are now on lap 20 out of 31 here. Gagley and Jean-Claude are going to go in and duke it out. We saw Gagley off the racing line, off track even, into the runoff there. Trying to take evasive action. Jean-Claude is getting his elbows out here. But, I mean, we'll see. Gagley's going to try to fire it up the inside
Try
of turn
pushing
one.
wide.
And these two cars are going to fight. They're going to
Try
go tooth
hooking
and
there,
nail.
which will give the Epic a chance to move up the places on Jean-Claude. Round the outside, doesn't really make it stick. Trying to hang it out inside again. He got the DRS, got the slip train, he got the better toe. Then Jean-Claude in front of the Gangly. Does he make it stick? No, he doesn't. He's still a little bit far away back. And
Yeah, just not enough real estate there once again for Epic the Animal. Touching the back of Jean-Claude there. Now, Jean-Claude is on tires twice as old as Epic's. So we'll see. I mean, there's got to be a move done here at some point for Epic. I mean, the championship, I mean, it's already basically fallen away from him now, considering that D is in P3 and he's down to P7. With a penalty, that'll drop him even further back at this stage. But, I mean, he's got to at least give it everything he's got here, because really, this is his last chance to stay in this championship fight. If he doesn't outscore D by 8 points or more today, then that is championship wrapped up into the drivers championship here for F1 season 24. D will get a second championship in a row, as that almost ended his night right there as the two touch.
ooh, that was a very big touch actually for the Sauber driver and the Ferrari driver as he got the DRS trying to make the lunge again. Down inside the wheel to wheel. He's pushing me off again.
Jean-Claude is fighting tooth and
Oh,
nail.
Epic is really furious on
I mean,
this wheel to wheel racing there.
that was an epic overtake there from Epic the Animal, but at what cost? I mean, you already lost so much time to Gagley. You've lost
Yeah,
three.
they already lost 3 to 4 seconds to Gangly here, and they are still going for it. Oh my god, and we got Phantom Fox behind Jean-Claude, trying to have a look around the outside, doesn't make it stick. Ooh, and this is some intense battle here in TFR.
Indeed, a intense battle as we make our way to the Singapore Sling now with Jean-Claude. And I mean, you got Phantom Fox basically in a kick Sauber sandwich here. And I mean, this could just go wrong for one of these drivers here. I mean, they're all so tight on a track that's already very narrow anyway. Phantom Fox now in DRS. He's going to try to go in and try to make the move stick, but Jean-Claude shuts the door yet again. Another bit of slight contact between the Alpine and the Kick Sauber as they make their way through turn 15, making their way down into turn 16. He's going to try to get the move, and this time there's nothing that Jean-Claude could do. Phantom Fox ghosts his way into P7. What a move, and now we see Jean-Claude make it to the pits.
Jean-Claude actually buying loads of time for his teammate here, which is already behind the gearbox of the Phantom Fox Alpine here. Got a little bit snap of oversteer, but he's still hanging there, and he's trying to use this slipstream and DRS zones to close it up even closer and trying to make the overtake stick, which is now a little bit further away. 5 tenths, 4 tenths right now behind the Alpine. Alpine has put on the end, none on the end DRS mode, trying to save some energy. So does the Sauber. So maybe no fight will be found on the second sector here, as the Sauber goes really snappy on the entry here.
Yeah, that Sauber doesn't seem like it's kind of planted to the track like the Alpine is. The Alpine seems to have infallible traction at this stage of the race, and I mean, he's on one lap older hard tires, so it's pretty interesting to see that Phantom Fox seems to have more stability in that Alpine. It could be a setup difference as well. we could see that Fox might be running a bit of a higher downforce setup so he can get more grip through these corners. Well, Samad might just sacrifice a little bit of that grip for some better straight line speed down these DRS zones, because he has been closing in quite a bit onto the back of that Alpine with the DRS, but he's just never just been in a good spot to really make an overtake happen here as we ride on board with the Alpine here. He's gonna try to stay in a good spot, try to keep Samad back as much as possible, because Epic has already pulled away, and Samad gets a
Oh,
3-second
come on,
time
guys.
penalty for track limits.
That was very, very unfortunate for him because that was only a near spin for him. No time gain from the track limits, which makes it even sorer. But as we can see in front there, Gangley is actually closing in up on B29 here. The gap is only 1.2 seconds, so not too far for the RB driver to close on the Aston Martin. Obviously, the hard to medium strategy did work out for him on right now. He got a better newer tires on his foot right now and trying to punch it down through the Anderson Bridge and try to get into the DRS of the Aston Martin.
Indeed. I mean, the medium tires are quicker right now, but there's going to be a drop off as we get closer and closer to the end of this race here. There's less than 10 laps to go here in the Singapore Grand Prix. And I mean, there's going to be a point where it's just going to be really tricky for those hard tires to really keep their grip. But it's going to be a quicker fall off for the mediums, because the mediums have a very high likelihood of falling off right as the hard tires start the decline. So Gagley's really got to make the most of this medium tire right now while he's got this advantage, because as we know, that medium tire advantage isn't going to last very long here. He's probably realistically got about another 4 laps of advantage with those medium tires before the hard start being the more advantageous tire.
Yeah, but unfortunately for him, he just misses out the DRS on this lap on the straight. So maybe another lap will do for him. Sector 2 will be crucial for him right now to make up the time. Oh, 9.910. He is absolutely on the edge of B29 here, but that's like cost him a tenth or two. He's now down to 1.2 tenths here. Yeah, absolutely desperately trying to find that DRS zone. 1.3 this lap not is just not enough for him to overtake him.
Yeah, I mean, he's
As
pretty
we
much, he's giving it all he's got as CJ gets another 3-second time penalty here for his troubles. But I mean, you got to give Gagley credit. He is trying. He is giving it
he is
his
pushing
all here.
hard, yeah.
I mean, he is fighting with every ounce of pace that Visa Cash App Racing Bull has, trying to go ahead and close in that gap. Another driver is trying to close in that gap is Samad down to P8. He does have penalties, but so do the cars behind him. But even then, the cars behind him have I mean, the penalty wouldn't really do much anyway. So really, Fox is really the only car he's really got to kind of push against, and just with this penalty involved at least, because pretty much the next 4 cars, or next 3 cars, I should
As
say,
Mark got another 3-second penalty,
now he's
which
in a bit of
is,
a pickle, because
yeah, now he's a bit of trouble now because most over, I believe he only got 3-second penalty. So
yeah, actually
maybe
the next 3 cars behind Samad have all only have 3 seconds of time penalties here. So Samad is going to be close to the
Mark
back of
a
Phantom, but
little
he
bit
needs to get
wide.
that 6-second gap to actually make that even work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but it's really, I mean, Samad is still going to try to get it done on track because, I mean, he is a
As
racing
that
driver.
really lost out in the exit. Look, he already dropped out of 2 seconds window, so really tough for him on this medium trying to hold on now.
Indeed, yeah, it's going to be really tricky. I think we might have already seen that fall off kind of happen here, so unfortunate for Gagley, but this is going to allow Epic to close in a bit as Kevin Cow now is up to 12 seconds of time penalties. He's got twice as many penalties as anybody else currently on circuit at the moment. 12 seconds of pens. I mean, he's already in last, at least on track. I mean, he can't get behind Finley, Seb, or Ultimate, but still not really doing any favors for his race here today.
Yeah, very unfortunate for him right there. But as we can see, as the Gangley's time 24 away, Epic is actually closing up on the RB car here. He only got 1.4 seconds behind the RB. As we can see this time, I believe Saman is a little bit closer. Fountain Fox, he'll have a look. No, he won't. He will try another lap, but we can focus on Epic, the animal here. 1.2 seconds is the gap between him and Gangley. Yeah, there's no threats from behind, so this is also he got a penalty. I guess this is just for the racing action here. He did not get into the DRS zone of Gangley, but he is trying now. Gangley got a bit better exit here, 1.23 seconds here. But as we can see, both of them are pushing very hard on limits to the tires.
Indeed, yeah, there's about 5 racing laps left to go here in the Singapore Grand Prix. Yeah, so about 5 laps left to go here. I just did a little quick check, but 5 laps left to go here in the Singapore Grand Prix. Round 10 is about to come to a close, and I think it is pretty safe to say that at the end of this race, we will be crowning a new champion, or a returning champion, I should say, here in TFR eSports Season 24 in the F1 division. I mean, D has had a very strong run here in TFR, so it's no surprise really to see him in pretty much prime position to win another championship here. But his championship rival is chasing down the V-Carb, so I mean, it's not over till the checker flag waves.
This is the fun thing about live sport. You never gives up here. As we can see, Epic is still trying hard on Gangley's tail. He already got in the DRS zone, so both of them are charging up. Maybe, yeah, I believe both of them are charging up their batteries and trying to set up a good exit out of the hairpin. DRS wide open for Epic the Animal. He is still not up in this right enough on the V-Cup gearbox, so he had to give another try on this straight. He is 5 tenths down right now, and it's still not enough for the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, once again, just not enough pace from Epic to try to get this move done on the Gagley here as they make their way onto lap 28. 4 to go here. And we'll see. Oh, he shook for a move going into turn 1, going into the Shears corner, but just not enough. Not enough real estate to really make a move, and he wisely just kind of tucks back in. I mean, if he keeps his pace right now, if he keeps this distance to where it's about 2.5 to 3 tenths of a second, he's going to have DRS. We're going to see a bit of defense there from Gagley. He's going to try to go around the outside. The outside becomes the inside, but it didn't matter anyway. Epic the Animal is up into P5 on track, and now he's got B23 pretty much in its sights. Now, granted, it's not looking very likely, even though it looks like Epic had a little bit of a fight with that Ferrari there through the last corner there. But even though Epic is really, I mean, his championship, unless something drastic happens, his championship is basically done. You got to commend him for giving a fantastic effort, especially today.
Yeah, I believe IMD is now just playing the safe card here, trying to bring the championship home, but you can still credit him for all the hard work he's done today and the previous races in the season, which gives me this big chunk of advantage into this race, got this championship done.
Indeed, and with 2 rounds to spare, I mean, that is an impressive feat regardless of how good you are. I mean, finishing a championship with several rounds to go is, I mean, it's just a testament to how strong you've been throughout the season. as Epic the Animal is still trying to pull away now from Gagling. Just behind them is still the battle between Samad and Phantom Fox. Still fighting it out with 3 to go here at Singapore. I mean, I honestly kind of figured rain might play a part in this, but honestly, I'm pretty glad it didn't. Even though I do like watching racers just give it their all in the wet, but I think we've had enough chaos in Singapore for today. I mean, especially, I mean, yeah, the race start you got to think about, and also you had pretty much just the entirety of the F2 race, which you were a part of.
Yeah, it's a pretty chaos day in FT races, so maybe a quieter one in F1 division would be nicer, as we can see Epic closing a little bit on the B29 Aston Martin here. It's actually a real shame today for Seb to DNF today due to the contact he had with Minx in the opening lap of the race. Otherwise, we could see a bit of a battle here between him and two horses and IMZ. So maybe we'll trigger the race a little bit more interesting. But never mind. We are going into the second last lap of the race. Minx is actually into his teammate's DRS zone. Don't know whether they will swap positions as he will surely get a penalty. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I'd be pretty surprised if Kestrel didn't get a post-race penalty from this, but I mean, the thing is now, I mean, they got a massive gap. Even if both of them manage to get a penalty, they're still going to be at least 6 seconds ahead of D. So, I mean, it really just doesn't make any sense for them to do a driver swap at this stage of the race. But I mean, I have seen weirder things happen. Actually, probably the weirdest thing I've seen here is Baku last season. We had a McLaren ride the wall at one point. Actually, go on its side and just ride through. I was commentating with Darky when that happened. Got a really good front row seat of that because he accidentally loaded in as a Ferrari, but I have seen weirder things happen. So we could see a driver swap, and it looks like Mustafa's going to go on the
Oh, they're
defensive
swapping
here.
on no swapping.
I mean, if there's going to be a swap, it's not going to be orchestrated by anybody on the team as we start the final lap of this race. And it's going to be a battle. It's going to be going side by side down into turn number 1. And it is going to be Mustafa holding onto the position. But I think Mustafa is out of battery. You can see the blinking light on the back of the Haas. And Kestrel's going to go on the inside. The inside becomes the outside. Kestrel gets into the lead of the race here, but there's a good chance that is not likely going to stand here as we are on the final lap of the Grand Prix here.
Bad news
Kestrel
for
is going to
Gangly
lose the
here.
position again to Mustafa. The two teammates come into contact.
Yeah, they're still going side by side here now. Trying to push him around the outside. They're both talking the wall.
Oh
They
no!
make contact.
Kestrel
What
and
on earth just
Mustafa.
happened between the two halves? Surely there will be teammate conversations after the race. And what on earth was that? What on earth was that?
That is
Which,
an example of what not to do as teammates. I mean, contact with your teammate is basically just rule number 1. Avoid it at all costs. That is pretty much just about rule number 1 when it comes to having a teammate in any form of racing, let alone Formula 1. Because I mean, these cars are fragile. They're beautiful pieces of machinery, but also fragile pieces of machinery. So I mean, one slight bump from your teammate could really just ruin your whole race. I mean, granted, Kestrel's already pretty much bound to get a penalty anyway, but regardless, oh look at this, he's gonna cut up the inside. He's gonna get a penalty, and he's just gonna try to go for it. But it is the last corner now, and Kestrel wins. But the more important one right now, Imadi is Season 24 champion. He outscored his teammate, or he outscored his rival. And as long as Epic didn't outscore him by 8 points, D would have won the championship. But he outscored his rival, and that makes Imadi Season 24 champion here at TFR eSports F1 Division. He takes the championship with 2 rounds to go. And once again, Imadi can say, I'm a champion.
Yeah, lovely to see IMD become the champion again, but I want to focus a little bit of attention on the two horses here. You can see the frustration on Mustafa there. He did not cross the line until like half a minute later, so which is pretty interesting there to see. As we can see, Kevin Cow and CJ trying to cross the line here through the last turn, and that is it for the race today.
Indeed, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and just run through everything really quickly, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. There's gonna be conversations had here, cause here's the thing, especially if there is a post-race penalty coming the way of Mint Kestrel here, then D is gonna win the championship and win the race. So there will definitely be conversations with the stewards about that. But either way, the Flying Scotsman is your champion once again here in TFR Esports. Fastest lap did go to Jean Claude. Cleanest driver went to Castro, which I guess F1 kind of missed that first lap. But anyways, we're gonna take a rundown through our race order. Mint Kestrel did win, but will likely be under investigation for the turn one or lap one incident. And then it is the champion for season 24, I'm a D, followed by B29, rounding out the podium. Then it is Epic, Gagly, Phantom, Mo Solver, MSA, Samad, Mustafa, VNT, O-Wise, CJ, Kevin Cow, and then we have Jean-Claude, Finley, Seb, and Ultimate Stan rounding out our grid here tonight. So that is going to go ahead and wrap things up here at TFR Esports here. Um, any thoughts on just overall, like, how did you think of today's race? Because I know it was your first time commentating here, so how was it for you?
Yeah, it was a pretty nice experience for me, and we see loads of racing actions, loads of wheel-to-wheel battles, carnage, even some carnages like the opening lap with Seb and the last lap with the two horses. But overall, it was a nice experience, and I'm enjoying it.
Indeed, yeah, it was a good race. Lots of drama, lots of contact. Singapore does always tend to deliver. So, I mean, we saw another case of that here. Once again, I do want to give a congratulations to Epic the Animal. He put up a good fight, just unfortunately, it wasn't enough, but a good effort from the Ferrari man, nevertheless. And once again, congratulations to Imad for winning the championship, back to back seasons of him taking the top step of the championship here in TFI Esports, and this time with 2 rounds to go. Last time it took to the season finale for the title to be decided. Now it is decided with 2 rounds to go. On behalf of GV, it is myself, Patrick Coleman, aka Records here, and we have been your hosts and commentators for today's Grand Prix. Tune in next week when we head to Japan for F2, commentated by our championship runner-up at the moment of Epic and CJ. And then later on, it'll be F1 in Japan for the penultimate round next Monday. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning on in, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.